Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping in to navigate a real ethical tightrope walk of modern professional life.
We are indeed.
We're looking at what happens when these core standards we all know, confidentiality, trust rules made for the physical world, well, what happens when they just slam into the wild, immediate world of the internet?
Exactly. And, this applies to anyone maintaining public trust, whether you're a CEO, a lawyer, or, as we'll focus on today, a healthcare worker. The rules of engagement online, they've just never been murkier.
Right.
So our mission today is to cut through all of that noise. We're going to be extracting the definitive rules for digital professionalism from some of the highest stakes source material out there. The UK's General Medical Council, or GMC, and the NHS guidance.
So this isn't just about what doctors should or shouldn't post. This is really the blueprint for how anyone should manage digital communication, DMs, images, public comments when the stakes are absolutely critical. We're looking for the gold standard here.
And that standard, it's non-negotiable. We've distilled all this guidance for clarity, and if we had to boil it all down, all this complexity, into one core, unforgettable truth,
The one-sentence takeaway.
it would be this. Protect confidentiality and trust online. Use secure, approved channels and maintain clear professional boundaries, and then document all key care communications. That single sentence has to govern every single thing you do online.
Okay, let's unpack that, because it sounds like we need an immediate sort of internal audit before we even think about sharing anything. What's the fundamental mindset you need before hitting send or post?
You need to adopt what we call the exam mindset checklist. It's a quick mental check. Before you post or share or reply to anything, you have to ask yourself 4 questions. Is it accurate? Is it necessary? Is it secure? And is it boundary respecting?
And the final check.
The ultimate filter is simple, but it's brutal. Will your decision withstand the scrutiny of a formal professional inquiry tomorrow?
Wow, that is a high bar, especially when the internet is all about speed, convenience. If I pause that long, the moment's often gone.
And that pause is exactly the point. Digital professionalism isn't some separate set of rules you learn on a special course. It's simply applying the existing core standards, like those in good medical practice, to the digital world.
So the same goals apply.
Always the same goals. Preserve confidentiality, keep professional boundaries crystal clear, be honest, be accurate, avoid misleading people, and most crucially, only use secure, approved channels for sensitive information.
I get the principles, but let's talk about the why, specifically the accountability part. In this kind of high-stakes environment, why does having an auditable record score so much higher than, say, being technically correct but having no documentation?
It all comes down to protecting yourself, the patient, and the organization's integrity. If we look at the internal scoring logic used in professional assessments, it always rewards actions that prevent harm, protect privacy, and create an auditable record. Think about this scenario. A complaint is lodged against you months down the line. If the entire interaction, maybe a crucial piece of safety advice, happened over a private text you've since lost, well, there is zero evidence you acted responsibly.
So a lack of documentation. It isn't just poor practice. It actively looks like guilt or maybe negligence when that scrutiny arrives.
Precisely. If there's no paper trail, the action scores poorly because it leaves you indefensible and it leaves the patient's care uncoordinated. The system is just designed to reward accountability first.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Let's move from those big principles to the practical framework. If I'm a professional and I encounter a potential issue online, what are the essential actions I need to lock in right now?
Right, there's a 5-step sequence that dictates the best response. It's that first, next to last structure for digital safety. The very first thing always is step 1, pause check.
Before you post or reply.
Yes, that internal audit. It prevents immediate harm and breaches.
And step 2 must address that classic boundary breach when a patient or a client reaches out to you personally on social media.
Yes. Step 2 is route to official. If you get a query with sensitive or clinical information, a photo, a symptom list, a request for advice, you have to route it immediately away from your personal channel to the organization's approved official system. You just cannot manage care on your personal phone.
That is the pivotal moment. We need a clear, non-negotiable script for that. What's the model phrase we should all be using?
It has to be firm but professional. It signals a hard boundary but provides a safe path. You must say something like, "I appreciate you reaching out, but I cannot give personal medical advice here. Please use our official channel," and you name the channel, like the clinic phone line or secure portal, so we can assess you properly and record the plan in your formal record.
And you never engage with the actual clinical query itself.
Never. That is fantastic. It fulfills your duty to the patient while completely protecting that professional boundary.
So what comes after that?
Third is step 3, protect and minimize. If you must discuss a case for, say, educational purposes, even internally, you have to protect the patient's identity and minimize the data shared to the absolute bare minimum required. You have to reduce any chance of re-identification.
Right. And fourth?
Fourth, step 4 is transparency and declare. If you're sharing educational content or endorsing any product, you must declare any relevant financial, commercial, or professional interests. Clearly, transparency is what maintains public trust.
And tying back to what we said earlier about accountability, the final step.
Step 5, document outcome. You have to record significant care communications, even if the interaction was brief and happened on an unapproved channel. If a patient DMs you their symptoms, you must still log that interaction in the formal patient record. Note the date, the time, and that you signposted them to the correct secure channel.
That creates the audit trail.
That creates the required audit trail.
That sequence makes perfect sense. Okay, now let's talk about the real danger zones. What are the immediate red flags that require intervention right now, not later?
There are 4 critical scenarios that demand immediate rapid action. First, identifiable images or text posted publicly. That's a serious confidentiality breach.
A big one.
Second, clinical advice given via DMs. It's unsafe, leaves no record, and violates boundaries. Third, using unapproved apps for patient data. That means insecure storage or unauthorized data export outside of any governance. And fourth, misleading public claims or dishonest endorsements, which actively harms public trust in your professionalism.
So the mantra in those situations isn't "I'll deal with this later." It's more like remove and secure.
Absolutely. The immediate response is always remove or mitigate the breach fast, move the information immediately to secure systems, escalate it to a senior or the information governance lead, the person responsible for data protection if you need to, and document every single action you took. Speed and documentation are your only defenses here.
Now we get to the decoy detectors. For the listener who's trying to spot these ethical tripwires, what are the tempting but low-scoring options, the things we're all, tempted to do, and what's the strict reasoning behind why they fail?
This is where understanding consequences is absolutely vital. The first trap is believing that as long as I anonymize the name, it's fine to post.
Right.
The reason that fails is that simple anonymization is almost never enough. Indirect identifiers, details about the patient's context, their location, their job, even a rare condition. All of that can still reveal their identity to a reasonable person.
So just scrubbing the name isn't enough if the context is unique. I might be posting about a rare condition thinking I'm being educational, but anyone who knows that patient knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Exactly. The guidance says you have to be certain they cannot reasonably be identified directly or indirectly. If there's any doubt at all, the decision has to be no. If you can't get explicit, informed consent for publishing that data, you just can't proceed.
Okay, trap 2 then. This must address that clash between convenience and safety again.
It does. It's giving brief DM advice to be helpful. This is maybe the most common trap of all. The temptation is enormous. A friend of a friend DMs you a picture of their child's rash and asks if they should go to A&E.
And the logic is that you want to prevent harm, so a quick text seems like a harmless good thing to do.
But it fails spectacularly. It fails because it's unsafe clinical practice, it completely destroys professional boundaries, and most critically, it leaves no auditable record. You cannot diagnose or prescribe via a DM. Your response has to be that signposting script we just talked about.
Right.
Direct them to official services, maybe disable your DMs for professional use, and then document that you received the interaction and signposted them safely. Your duty to the record overrides your desire for convenience.
And that leads us directly to the common question about mobile messaging apps. I know I've heard professionals say, well, WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, so it's fine for quickly sharing a patient image with a colleague.
That's trap number 3, thinking WhatsApp is encrypted, so it's fine for patient data. And while it does have encryption, that's not the primary measure of security here.
Yeah.
The failure points are governance and record integration. WhatsApp is usually not an approved, recordable clinical system. It stores data on third-party servers outside of your organization's control.
So even if the message itself is secure in transit, the storage isn't under the organization's governance and it doesn't feed into the formal patient record. which ultimately makes it unusable.
Precisely. You must prefer approved trust solutions. NHS guidance is really restrictive here. If policy permits temporary use for, say, urgent care, you have to minimize identifiers, transfer the outcome to the formal patient record promptly, and crucially, delete the originals from the unapproved app immediately. It's an emergency tool, not a record solution.
That distinction between encryption and governance is so key. Okay, and finally, let's circle back to transparency.
Trap 4 is undisclosed endorsement. Professionals often get free products or paid opportunities to promote things. Sharing, recommending, or endorsing these without clearly declaring any financial or commercial affiliations is misleading. It undermines public trust in your neutrality and honesty. Transparency isn't optional, it's mandatory.
We've covered everything from proactive checks to documentation to these really tempting digital traps. We need a solid tool to make all this knowledge stick. What's the best memory aid for these crucial steps?
We can condense all of those actions and principles into the post-safe mnemonic. It's like a full 9-point checklist for digital conduct you can run through really quickly.
Okay, let's hear it.
So P is for protect identity. Remember, anonymization is not enough.
Got it.
O is for on-policy use secure approved tools. S is for stick to facts, accuracy. And T is for transparency. Declare your interests.
Okay, that covers the proactive side of things. I'm guessing the safe part covers the response when things go wrong or when a patient approaches you.
Exactly right. S is for set boundaries, no DMs for clinical care. A is for act, meaning remove or mitigate a breach fast. F is for flag or escalate if you need to a senior or your IG lead. And finally, E is for auditable. Enter a brief record of the communication in the formal system.
That is incredibly useful. Post-safe. Okay, so summing all of this up, what does this deep dive mean for you, the listener? Give us the 3 main takeaways that have to govern our digital lives.
First, confidentiality beats convenience online every single time. Second, use approved secure channels for care and professional communication. Personal platforms are for personal use. And third, document significant care communications, creating that essential audit trail for accountability.
It's a powerful statement, really, about the gravity of the professional's role.
It is. It confirms that your duty is constant. It extends beyond the 4 walls of the clinic or the office and into the entire digital sphere. Your online presence is a direct reflection of your professionalism, and that standard must be maintained 24/7.
That reinforces the point beautifully. And that brings us to a provocative closing thought for you to consider. The guidance clearly bans giving individual advice via DMs. But what if a patient sends you identifiable clinical information through an unapproved personal channel? The damage is already done, the information is out. What specific documented steps must you take immediately to mitigate that confidentiality breach when the patient is the one who initiated the unsafe communication? It shows the professional's duty to secure and document remains paramount even when others are the ones breaking the boundaries. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into digital professionalism and accountability. Until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and keep learning.